Hello again, I'm Stephen Jerome. I'm going to continue reading from my third novel. We have our little birdie again this morning. He's so loud and so present. I love it. Anyway, we're in Paris. Terry and Tess are in Paris. Terry's there for the first time. Tess has been there many times. Grew up there. It's her home away from home. And so they've had a lovely meal, and they've visited some of the sites. And I'll start this way. One could see the world and never leave Paris, or so it seemed. So rich, so adorned, grand and picturesque at every turn. And no surprise, even more sensuality just below the surface. A moment in the men's room, this is at the Louvre, proved as distracting as the galleries when, from the corner of my eye, I noticed a handsome young blonde seeking my attention with a very showy piece of personal art. What to do? It was impossible to ignore, an invitation, not a proposition. But very awkward timing. Tess had popped into the ladies for her own little break. Dallying was not an option. I tore myself away and rejoined Tess outside. Later, as we left, with the closing bell, I saw the boy again. A stoic glance between us, honor among thieves, as we went our separate ways. Life in the big city, paths to never cross again. That evening we went to Montmartre to have a dinner, more wonderful and affordable dining, and roam the narrow streets. Artists at easels were still set up in the main square, aping the scenes of a century ago. We strolled among them, but there were no Lautrecs or Van Goghs to be seen. I told Tess about an artist friend in Los Angeles who was offered the chance to make some extra money doing portraits at a local restaurant. A couple approached, and the woman sat down. She had a nose like a potato, my friend said, presenting him with the existential question, does the artist draw truth or stoop to flattery? He chose the former, and when the woman's companion saw the finished work, he was outraged. I'm not paying for this. You've made her nose look like a potato. A few months later, another couple, and the same dilemma. This time, my friend took the safe road, but when the woman's husband saw the flattering portrait, he said, "What kind of artist are you? Can't you see my wife has the nose like a potato?" We walked up to the Sacré-Cœur, its very un-French architecture, almost out of place, yet iconic, on the highest hill of the city. From the balustrade of the cathedral's wide terrace, we could see below the backsides of small buildings, apartments, and their tree-lined gardens. How to know one day that Tess would own her own apartment in one of those very buildings, gathering with beloved neighbors under those same trees. We took the metro back to the Étoile, then a final stroll arm in arm along the Avenue Victor Hugo toward our building. By then it was well after midnight, and the prostitutes were out in force. Approaching from a distance, the women were almost glamorous, tall and confident, some bundled in full-length fur coats. Passing up close, however, we could see they were mostly older women, weathered if not weary. One was severely pockmarked. Another had a tethered neck. Their makeup was too heavy, almost theatrical, probably best seen from the audience of slow cruising cars than the sidewalk stage up close. As I stared, a woman, possibly younger than her looks, smiled cheekily my way and flashed her coat open, revealing nothing on underneath. Tess gasped out loud, and the lady laughed, a throaty rumble. Somewhere near, a car alarm began a rhythmic pulse. It pierced the cold night like an insistent stabbing knife. It continued as we approached the door of our building, then on and on for hours, straining the nerves of the entire neighborhood, up all the way up to us in the very highest floors, wearing us down, and finally into exhausted sleep. Then boom! A huge explosion sucked the air from our room like a quick inhale. We were nearly thrown out of bed. A long, eerie quiet followed, as unnerving as the explosion itself. Tess started shaking. I was completely disoriented, scrambling around for my underwear until Tess finally screamed, "Just get dressed, we have to get out of here." Someone shouted, "Un bomb," from the building opposite. It was early Sunday morning. When I leaned out the window, the street was deserted, but I saw people in the building opposite, still in sleep attire, standing in their windows, stunned and pointing. Directly below, I saw something lying in the street. I couldn't make sense of it at first, until I realized it was a whole human leg, in trousers, shoe still on. Within 10 minutes, after hastily gathering some things for the day, Tess and I were back down on the Avenue Victor Hugo. The sidewalk was littered with glass. I looked up, and all the windows in our building had been blown out. Fortunately, the upward angle of our mansard roof had saved us from direct impact. And there was the leg, pouring blood from its severed hip. It had been blown clean off from whatever force had detonated in the courtyard of the building opposite our own. Tess nearly vomited. "We have to get out of Paris," she said. Okay, I'm going to leave it at there. Not a bad spot. Okay, I'll continue tomorrow. Thank you again for watching.